Hi there, in this video I want to show you how to start working with the Visual Studio for the first time and create the new C# project. So let's take it. First we talked about how to install the Visual Studio. Now let's come over here. This is my Visual Studio. The version of the Visual Studio is not important matter. Currently I'm using 2022 version of the Visual Studio. So come over here and come to this one. We have two options. First, I can create the new project from here like this and get to start configuring the project. Or you can use my favorite and continue without code. Both of these are similar. So let's continue. This is the Integrated Developer Environment or IDE. So get inside the file, new and the project. In this window, we need to select the project type. We have some recent project templates. That is not important matter. Let's leave it. And here I have the search text box, or you can use these combo boxes for selecting your project type. Now let's come over here and select this one. I want to work with the C#. Also, I want to work with the Windows. So this is the Windows. And all project type. The project type I want to work is the desktop because I want to create the application for the desktop computer and also the Windows operating system by the C#. So I have all of these options. I have the Windows Form application using the .NET Core or the .NET. Also, you have the older version using the .NET Framework. You know what? If you wanna work with the most up-to-date version of the .NET, so you need to use this one, the .NET Core or .NET. But if you want to work with the older version, you have this one, the .NET Framework. Personally, I prefer to use the most up-to-date version, and it is the .NET or .NET Core. Select this, and it is the Windows Form application with the .NET and also the C# for the desktop computers, and come to the next. In this window, you need to configure your project. The first step is assigning the name for your project. So my project name is my first application, but it's not important matter which name you want. You can easily write your own name. And also the location of the project, that's let's leave it by default. Then I have the solution name or the name of your solution. You know what? The solution is something like the folder that we can add one or more project inside it. Each project by default should be inside one solution. So the default name is my first app, and let's add the SN. It stands for solution name or the solution. This is the result. Do you want to place the solution and project in the same directory? No, I don't want to use the same folder for the project and solution. So uncheck this one. Now the result is over here. That is created inside this folder up to this one. Now get inside the next step. In this window, I need to select the framework or the engine of my project. I want to work with the .NET 7, the latest version of the .NET Core 7.0. And it is STS or standard term support. And also I have the .NET 6 long-term support. You know what, in the future, if you got the newer version of the .NET, you can easily work with them. So the version of the .NET is not important matter because this is the tutorial project and I wanna work with the basic type of the project. So it's not important matter. Let's select the most up-to-date version or in the future .NET 8, .NET 9 up to the end. So let's create our first project. Well done, now my project is created and this is the default form. You can easily select this and resize it like this or any size that you want. Let's select something like this one. If you take a look over here, I have the Solution Explorer and this is the main part for managing your project. This is the solution as I mentioned. Each solution has one or more project inside it. Currently, I have only one project, so it is my first app. Inside my first app SN. So this is the result. As you see over here, I have some files and folders. So if I take a look, the dependencies, you can see it is the frameworks. So if you create the application, you need to use the Microsoft.NET Core and also the Windows form. And after that, I have the form one. This is the form one. You can easily select this and let's save and close the form. And also it's a really great idea to select this one and move it over here or over here, here, and this one. So let's select this side, the left side, and this is the result. You can also click on this to auto hide it or select that like this. And also I can come over here and resize it like this. And in addition, I have the show all files over here. So all of the files are available over here. Some of the folders are hidden, something like the bin and also the object. So if I click over here, show all files, now I have only the visible files, and this is the form one. You can easily double click on it to see the form one. And also I have the program that is the settings of the application by default. So I don't want to work with all of this at once. Let's close this and close also this one. And if you can't see the Solution Explorer by default, it's really simple. Let's close this and this one and everything. So come to this. By default, I have the view. So click on it and I have the Solution Explorer. Let's select that. And after that, I have the properties window. So let's select the properties window like this. And also if I take a look over here, I have the toolbox. So this is the toolbox like this. And also you can select this and move it anywhere that you want. For instance, move it over here, or I can come over here and select this one, move it at the bottom. Now I have the toolbox over here and also the Solution Explorer over here. It's really simple and straightforward. Also, you can auto hide this or auto hide this one. And this is the result. And come to the toolbox and set to this one. Now I have the form one, and if I double click on it, then the toolbox will automatically be generated based on your form. Now I have the toolbox over here and I can start working with it. But currently I want to only talk about how to create your first project. So let's talk about it more. Now let's auto-hide this one, and also we have the properties. If you select the form 1% this, then the properties of it is available over here. I'll talk about this and also the toolbox in the upcoming tutorials eventually. So don't worry about anything and just focus on your learning. And after that, I have some buttons at the top. And if I right click over here, I can manage the toolbar, something like the layout, the standard, and also I have the debug and the build. So you can select the debug and also you can uncheck that. Right click over here, I have the layout, and after that I have the standard like this. Now if I take a look over here, I can see the menus at the top. So come over here and get inside the view, and after that I have the toolbars. This is the toolbars. You can select them from here. For instance, I can come over here and select the layout. This is the layout, and after that I can work with it over here, or come to the view, then the toolbars, and select the standard like this. Now I have the standard toolbar over here. So let's run this project for the first time and select this and come over here, run it. And this is the result after a couple of seconds for building the project. Then it will automatically execute it like this. So this is the result. Now if I come over here and right click on the form and open containing folder, or select the form, right click on it, get inside the open containing folder. So this is the folder of my project. As you see, I have all of these files exactly like the project in Solution Explorer. And also I have the solution folder. This is the solution folder. You can see its name, My First App SN. And after that, I have the dedicated folder for my project, and it is My First App. Also, I have this solution or SLN extension. This is the solution file. So if I close this, you can see the result expressions. Now double click on the solution file and my file will be opened and indeed my project. So let's be patient after a couple of seconds. As you see, my project is loaded one more time and it means everything is working perfectly. Now let's double click on the project folder and open it. So this is the project folder. And if I come to the project and select the show all files like this, now I have more files and folders over here. If I take a look, you can see the pin, this is the pin, the object over here, and also I have the form 1 and it is 3 files. So this is form 1 and I have 3 files inside it. The first one is the designer, so you can see the auto-generated code by the Visual Studio, and this is the result. And after that I have the resx, and this is the resource file or files for adding the text, the images, all the files inside it. At the first step, you don't need to memorize all of this. I'm going to talk about it for your deeper understanding. So don't worry about anything and don't be afraid. So this is the form 1. And after that, I have the program and I have the imports up to the end. So I have the files over here. Now, if I take a look inside the bin or binary and click on it, come to the debug, .NET 7, and here I have the my first app. This is the first app, and if I click on it, I have the form 1 over here, and it is exactly like running it from this button. Or come to the debug, and this is the start debugging. You can use the F5 or select it from here to start running the application for debugging. What is the debug? Debug means for running the application to find the errors. So don't worry about this matter. Now if I come over here and click on this, these are the files for running the application. And if you want to run it, select the my first app. You can see my first app.exe or executable file and click on it. So it's run automatically without any problem, and close this one. Well done. So this is the quick tour about the first application using the C# and the Visual Studio. And also, as I mentioned, I have the toolbox over here that you can get access to all of these easily and quickly. For instance, let's select the button, drag and drop over here on the window. So it is like this. And also I have the checkbox. This is the checkbox, and the combo box. This is the combo box, the label, and all of these are available for you up to here. And also I have the picture box to show the picture to the user. I'll talk about this matter step by step in my upcoming tutorials, how to work with these controls easily and quickly, so don't worry about it. Okay, I enjoyed a lot. Now we learned how to press our first application using the C# and the .NET Core technology. So open up your Visual Studio and start creating your first project. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to easily start working with the variables, especially the string variable. So let's begin. At the beginning, let's talk about the definition of the variable. The variable is the container or the box for storing data values. So it is some kind of box or container that we can put the values inside it. And we have the box something like this over here. As I say, I have the name for my variable and also the type for that. Finally, I have the value something like this, the eye color, the blue. And the definition in the C# is really simple. The type over here, it is a string or the text. Then I have the variable name. And finally, I have the variable value easily and quickly. So let's do it in the action. Come over here and open up my project. To start my tutorial, I added the form. So this is the form. You can see it's variables, and also assign the start position, set it to center screen. Then the text, the minimize and maximize to the false. And also I need to get inside the program.cs and change the startup form to the variables. Now if I run, I can see the simple project. So this is the result. I have the button without any codes inside it. And after that, this is my button, and this is the text box itself. So this text box is MSG, and also this is show message button. Now let's come over here, and suppose I wanna show the message box to the user easily and quickly. So this is the event for my button, and if I come over here, let's define the new message box and dot show, and this is hi. Let's add hi, and after that add the semicolon. This is the simple message box, and if I take a look, I can see the result. So click on this hi, but I haven't anything after the hi. In addition, I have the text box over here. You can see the text box here. So I can start working with it. Before doing anything, let's select this, close it to fix the bug of the Visual Studio. Now I have the text box over here, MSG. I want to show the content of it over here. So add the free space here, then add plus, this, and the MSG text box. Which property? The text property of my text box. Now I have the hi plus this one. And if I run the application, so come over here and say, for instance, Mike. So click on this, hi Mike. Now suppose I want to show another message, and let's come over here and let's say I love you, then the mic, and after that let's add the next one. So what is your last name? This, and after that I can add the question mark like this. So if I run, I can see the great and amazing result. So let's add Mike and copy that for later using and show it. Hi Mike, the first line. Then I have the I love you Mike. You can see it over here. And finally I have what is your last name Mike. So I have, if I take a look over here, I repeated this part, this message box text over here, here, and here. I repeated this one up to 3 times, but that's not really great idea. Instead of using the text box text, I can define the variable. So the structure is really simple. We need to write the variable type. I can work with the string integer up to the end, but my favorite one is a string in this example. Text plus numbers. We can put the text and numbers inside it. This is the real world example. The type is a string. And after that, add a space, then variable name. The name should be English letters, and also it can't be totally numbers. Equals the variable value. And here I have the string, the type of variable. Then I have the variable name. You can see it over here. And after that equals, finally, the variable value. And the mic is variable value, or I can say name is iColor and the value is blue. So let's define the new variable and put all of the data inside it, then use it instead of the text box dot text. So at the top, let's write a string. This is the string, and name it MSG. So it is MSG. Now the value for that. Now let's copy this part and paste it over here. Then the semicolon. Don't forget to add it at the end. So I have the string and its value is the text indeed. And also if I take a look, now I have this one. Let's delete that and say MSG. So replace the next one with MSG and the next one with MSG over here up to this one, MSG. So instead of using the full code, this MSG text I define the new variable and its type is a string, and we can write anything inside it, including the numbers or characters. Then I use the MSG variable instead of the full text over here, here, and here. And this is the power of the variable. So if I run, I can see the same result. It's very simple and it's straightforward. So let's write, for instance, Mike, And here I have the show message. Hi, Mike. Then I love you, Mike. And what's your last name, Mike? So everything is working in the best manner. Well done. Now we learned more about the string variables and also the structure of the variables. So open up your project and start working with the string variable. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to easily start working with another variables, and it is int 32 and int 64, or integer and the long. So let's begin. First, we talked about the string and how we can define it. In addition, if you want to work with the numbers, you need to use the appropriate type. The most common is integer or int 32, and the next one is long or int 64. So let's do it with the real world application. Come over here and come to this one. To start my tutorial, I added all of these. You can easily add, the first one is num1, the next one is num2, and this is the result. And also let's do it with the int 32 or with the int 64. So this is the sum, and let's name it, for instance, sum 32, and this is sum, let's write sum 64 like this. Now let's do it in the action. Suppose I have two numbers, one for this, the second one this one. I want to calculate the sum of these numbers and write it over here. It's really simple and straightforward. So let's click over here and come to this one and say this, and after that the sum or the result. In the result text box, which property? The text property equals to what? Equals to this, and the num1 dot text plus this num2 dot text, and don't forget to add the semicolon at the end. Now I want to add this one to the second one and assign it to the result. Now if I run, I can see the great and amazing result. So come over here and write, for instance, this number plus this number and create the sum. So what happened? This is the first number up to here, and this is the second number up to here. So this is not the actual summarizing of the two numbers. So we need to define another variable if you want to add them inside your codes, and it is using the integer, or for the big numbers, long or int 64. Let's talk more about the integer or int 32. Come over here, and if I take a look in the Google, so I have the int 32 in C#, and it is the numbers between negative 2 billion up to positive 2 billion. This is really a small number in the programming world. Negative 2 billion up to positive 2 billion. And if I take a look, the int 64, it's really big number, and it is non-quantillion, negative non-quantillion up to positive quantillion. So this is really big number. So my number is not too big, and I can easily start adding them using the int 32. So I can do it and come over here, come to this one. Before doing anything, it's time to define the int 32. So this is the int 32, and after that name it, for instance, the fn, or first number. Let's write first number, and also I can copy this and paste it over here and name it second number. Also I can come over here and define the next one. It's not necessary, but you can define that and say the sum number or result, and result number or the result is not important matter. So it's time to assign the values one by one. Let's add something like this over here to organizing the code. And after that, come over here and come to this one. Let's set up the project. Now let's assign this one to the first number and this one to the second number. So I have the first number, and this is the first number equals. equals to what? Equals to this one. Copy and paste over here. This is my first number, but I got this error. If you have run it, can't convert the string to the integer. It means we need to use another method or converter to convert the text to the int 32. It's really important matter. So let's come over here and come to this and say int 32 dot the parse. I have the parse and also I have the try parse. Let's start working with the first one, and it is parse. Parse means convert. Convert this one, the parentheses, as you see over here. It has up to 6 different overloads. So the first one is most simple one, and it needs only one parameter, and it is a string and as the text, and this is the result. Now my number is converted to the integer and assign it to this one. And also I can come over here, copy and paste it over here, add some comment or better result like this. Now the second number, so I can easily say second number, and also instead of this I can copy this and paste it over here, the num2 text marks. Now it's time to add both of them over here. It's really simple and straightforward. I have the result, so let's write result. It's really great to add the t over here. So this is the result. Result equals the first number plus the second number. This is the second number. Don't forget to add the semicolon. So I have the result, and it's time to use it over here easily and quickly. So let's type result and do it. But I got another error, and if you have run it, can't convert int to a string. It means this is integer, and I can't convert it to the text because the text is a string, as you see over here, but the result is int. So we need to convert the result to a string like this. Now add parentheses easily and quickly. Now if I take a look over here and let's see the result. So let's start, for instance, 3 and 5 and so. So it's working perfectly. But as I mentioned previously, there is the limitation for the int 32 variables and numbers. So it is between negative 2 billion up to positive 2 billion. Now if I come over here and write 3 billion plus this, if I click on that, I got this error. Value is too large or too small for int 32. So it is a really big number for that. As the result, we can't use the int 32 for the numbers bigger than 2 billion or bigger than this one, and also smaller than this one. So my number is about 3 billion, and we need to use another code for calculating the big numbers more than int 32, and it is the int 64, and we can use it to calculate the negative 9 quintillion up to positive 9 quintillion. It's really big number. So come here and come to this one. Let's stop it and come to this and click on this button easily and quickly. If you can't work with the buttons anymore in the designer or got this error, this is the bug of the Visual Studio. So double click on this and I can easily close that and open it from scratch. Now click over here, and it is for calculating the int 64. So let's copy all of this and paste it over here. At the first step, instead of the int 32, it's time to use int 64. So this is the result. Copy this and paste it over here, and also over here, int 64. And also I have the convert or parse over here. Don't forget to change the int 32 to the int 64. Now the remaining codes are similar. We need to add them, then convert it to a string and assign it to the text property of the result. Now let's go over here and let's use the big numbers. So let's write big number like this up to this and calculate with the N64. So it's done without any error or the problem. Also, you can add something like this over here and so. So it's working without any restriction. Indeed, we can add the results or numbers up to 9 quintillion, and it's really big number. Okay, well done. Now we learned how to work with the int 32 and int 64. Indeed, we are over here. And the next step is time to talk about other variables. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to easily start working with the decimal variables, including the float, the double, and also the decimal. Let's start working with the float. The float is indeed between this number up to this number, and its precision is 6 up to 9 digits. Let's start working with it at the first step. Come over here and come to this one. To speed up my tutorial, I added the float, the double, and also the decimal. Now, this is the first num or num1, num2, and num3. Let's double click over here in the float. To speed up my tutorial, I want to copy this part of the code from the in 64-bit up to here. Now, in the next step, it's time to use the float. So this is the float. You can see it over here. And after that, the next one is float and float. And also, this is in 60. Let's change it to the float and float variable. Now, all of these are floats, and I can start working with them. So if I take a look over here, let's be patient. Now, let's add some decimal number over here and also another one over here. Now if I take a look, let's start working with the int 32. So it is int 32, but as you see, the input string is not in the correct format. So now we learned that we can assign the decimal number to the int 32 variables, and also we can assign the decimal numbers to the int 64 variables. It's very simple and it's straightforward. So come over here and come to the next one. Now let's work with the, for instance, decimal numbers like this. And also if I take a look, 3 dots point, and this is the result. Now if I click on the float, so the result is something like this. And after that, if I take a look over here, suppose I want to use really big decimal number like this. Let's see the reaction. So it is like this one, and it's rounded to the bigger number or something like that. And also I can come over here and let's assign the another number up to here, then add dot. Now I have something like this over here and some floats like this. Now it has up to 3 numbers after the decimal, and also I have up to this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Up to 7 numbers after the decimal, and from here up to here after the decimal. So let's start working with the bigger than the float, and if I take a look over here, it is the double. The double is the number between this up to this one. It's really big number, and its precision is 15 up to 17 digits. Now let's come over here, come to this one, and after that I have the double button. Select this and come over here, copy and paste over here. Now this is float. Let's use the double. This is the double. The next one double. This double. And also this one double. This one double. Now all of these are the double. So let's see the result. Now let's write something like this up to this number. And if I click on the float, so the result is something like this number and the double. And the double is like this. So the double is really great for the really big decimal numbers. And if I take a look over here, You can see its range and also its precision up to here. Now, suppose I want to work with the bigger decimal numbers. So the decimal is great for you, and it is between this number up to this number. And its precision is between 28 up to 29 digits. So go over and come to this one and get inside the code over here. Click on the decimal and copy the code, paste it over here. This is the decimal, so you can see the decimal here, copy, paste it here, here, this, and finally this one. Now let's run and let's see the result. So come here and write something like this up to here, for instance, up to this number. And after that, write this number up to this one. Now if I calculate with the float, the result is this, some double, the double is this, and some decimal. Decimal is the biggest number. Well done. Now we learned how to work with the double, decimal, and the float variables. So it's your turn. Go ahead and open up your project and start working with the numeric variables. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. And this video I want to show you how to easily start working with the Boolean variable. So let's see. Till now we talked about all of these variables and also the string variable. But in addition, we have the Boolean. The Boolean has only two sets, true or false. So we have the Boolean, you can see it over here, true or false. So let's do it. Come over here and come to the project. And let's select this one, and its name is result text box. If I scroll down, I have the enable property, and it is true or false. So we can use the Boolean to get access to it or assign the value to the enable. And also, if I take a look, I have the next one, and it is visible. So it has only two options, true or false. So the visible also is the Boolean. Now let's go over here, click on this one, and let's name it the bool. This is the boolean or bool button. So it is bool or bool button. Now let's go over here, double click on the boolean, and let's say this, and after that the result. You can see the result text box over here, and then add dots and the enabled. So this is the enabled property. Now let's come over here and define the new boolean. This is the boolean, you can see it over here, and the name for that. Let's add the BL or boolean. Now let's go over here and write equals, and don't forget to add the semicolon. So I'm gonna get the enable property of the result text box and assign it to the BL as boolean. Now I have the boolean, and I can easily start working with it, or I can assign it to another button or another control. So come over here. Suppose I want to assign the enable property of the result text box to something else like this button. So this button is show message button. Now let's come over here and click on this and say this show button dot enabled equals BL, and assign the BL to the enabled property. Now let's get inside the designer over here and start running the project. Currently the text box is enabled, so if I click on the boolean, nothing will happen. Let's see the results. Let's come to the error list and over here exactly. Now let's add some curly braces over here. I deleted that by mistake. Now let's run and let's see the result. So click over here and write something inside it. Now click on this one, and you can see nothing happened here because the enable property of this text box is true. As the result, the show message button will be true, the enabled property. Now let's stop. Come over here and come to this one, and also I can call this and open it one more time. Now let's select the text box, come to the properties and the enabled property, set it to false. Now if I take a look over here, run the application and let's set the result. So if I take a look over here, currently my text box is not enabled and it is disabled over here. So if I take a look and click on this button, as you see, the enable property of the button changed to false. So we could get the current enable property of the result text box, give it to another variable and assign it to another control, and it's done. And also I can come over here and suppose I want to this and the visible property. This is the visible property equals to what? Equals to the BL easily and quickly. Now let's run and let's see the result. So this is disabled as the result Boolean. Wow, what happened? I lost my form. Why? Because of this line of the code. Now come over here and come to the task manager, and here I have the applications, and inside it I have the Visual Studio. Let's see, where is my application executable file? This wasn't. And the next one, if I take a look, this is my first app. You can see my first app over here, but it hasn't any icon on the taskbar. So let's go over here and stop it and let's check it. As you see, my application is closed successfully. Well done. Now open up your project and start working with the Boolean. Thanks and thanks goodness. Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to start working with the scope of the variable. So let's do it. Till now, we talked about how to define the different variables inside the click event of the buttons. For instance, this one is MSG, and after that, I have the next one. It is the first number, second number, and the result. But definition of all of these variables are inside the click event. Suppose I want to get access to the MSG outside of this button click. Now let's try if it's possible or not. This is the next button and write MSG. As you see, I can't get access to this and it is completely private. From here up to here, I can get access to it. Now if I take a look inside the same button click event, I can easily get the MSG. Why? Because this is the local variable and it's not public. So this is the really simple and straightforward. You can get access to message box exactly over here inside the click event of the show message button. But if you want to get access to it outside of the button click, you can easily make it public. So come over here and let's select this, copy and paste it over here. A string MSG, and don't forget to add the semicolon. Now I have the MSG and I don't need to define it over here. Let's delete that and like this. Now I can get access to MSG everywhere. For instance, this is outside. I can easily come over here and say the MSG easily and quickly. I can get access to it and I can easily assign the value to that like 1 or anything that you want. And also if I scroll down and at the bottom, I can get access to it. This is the MSG. So I can get access to it inside this or current file. And this is the meaning of the scope of variables. And the currently, if I take a look, this one is public and get access inside this class or inside this file. And if you want to get access to the message outside of the click event over here, don't hesitate to put it outside of the button, click exactly over here, or you can come and define it over here or over here. You are completely free. The only thing you need is to consider is this point that you need to add the definition of the variable outside of any buttons. Well done. Now we learned more about the scope of the variables. Thanks and thanks goodness.